What if the week of March 30th on Days of Our Lives is not just about one shocking twist, but about several dangerous truths starting to collide at the same time? It may be the moment when multiple Salem storylines stop simmering and start heading straight for consequences that can no longer be controlled. And that is what makes this week so interesting. Because nobody seems fully prepared for what is coming next. Let's start with Bonnie, because what looks like an embarrassing publishing mess may actually become a much bigger business threat. The moment Justin recognizes that Bonnie's novel sounds far too close to Stephanie's book, this story stops feeling harmless. It is no longer just about creative overlap or a badly timed mistake. It starts looking like legal exposure, public scandal, and the kind of problem powerful families can exploit for financial gain. In Salem, something like this never stays small for long. Once money and reputation get involved, even one bad decision can spiral into something much more dangerous. He does not respond like a man shocked by Bonnie's mistake. He responds like someone who immediately sees potential value in it. That shift is important, because it suggests Titan may be in deeper trouble than viewers first assumed. If Philip is already thinking in terms of lawsuits and loan payments, then this is not just a side story about plagiarism. It is a sign that Titan may be under real financial strain and looking for any opening it can use. So Bonnie's book may become more than a liability. It may become the excuse for a larger power move. And that is what makes this storyline so compelling. A personal blunder may now be turning into corporate ammunition. What makes this storyline even more explosive is the possibility that Bonnie is not the true focus of the trap. Because while Maggie and Philip may be reacting to the plagiarism issue at face value, Xander and Kate could already be thinking several steps ahead. If they really maneuvered Johnny into approving Bonnie's book, then this may not be a random publishing mistake at all. It may be a setup designed to place Johnny directly in the line of fire. And if that is true, the stakes rise fast. At that point, the real issue is no longer whether Bonnie copied Stephanie. The real issue becomes who benefits from the fallout. If Johnny's approval can be tied to a scandal like this, then he becomes vulnerable, professionally, legally, and politically inside a power structure where every weakness gets exploited. That gives this story a much sharper edge, because now we are potentially looking at strategy, not coincidence. Because once Johnny understands he may have been manipulated, the fallout may spread far beyond Bonnie. What starts as a book controversy could quickly become a Demera Titan pressure point filled with blame, anger, and retaliation. And in that kind of environment, one minor mistake can trigger a much larger war. Meanwhile, the preview gives Sophia's return the kind of energy that feels less like closure and more like a warning. Her release from Bayview is unsettling enough on its own, but it is the way she returns that makes the moment feel so loaded. Sophia does not appear shaken, quiet, or cautious. She walks back into the pub with confidence, which immediately changes the tone of the scene. That kind of entrance suggests she may not see herself as defeated at all. In fact, she may believe she still has influence, still has leverage, and still has the power to disrupt the lives of the people around her. Their shock may not just come from seeing Sophia again. It may come from the sudden realization that this story is not finished, that the instability they thought had been contained may now be stepping right back into their world. And once Rachel exposes Sophia to Brady, the situation becomes even darker. Learning that Sophia was behind the supplement bottle filled with antipsychotic medication pushes this storyline into far more disturbing territory. Because that is not impulsive behavior. That is a scheme, and that detail changes how Sophia's return has to be viewed. This is no longer just a troubled girl reappearing after time away. This may be someone coming back with secrets, nerve, and the potential to create even more damage than before. Once Holly and Tate learn what Sophia really did, their reaction may go far beyond anger. Because this is no longer just a story about deception or emotional manipulation. The moment the truth comes out about the supplement bottle being filled with antipsychotic medication, the situation becomes much more disturbing. And the fact that Rachel was pulled into the scheme makes it even worse. That detail adds a much darker layer, because now this is not simply about Sophia making reckless choices. It is about Sophia involving a child in a calculated plot that could have had serious consequences. Up to this point, some people may have seen Sophia as unstable, impulsive, or desperate. But this reveal may push viewers to see something much more alarming. Someone who is willing to manipulate vulnerable people and cross increasingly serious lines when she feels cornered. That is a very different kind of threat. It suggests planning. It suggests intent. And it suggests that Sophia may now be operating from a place that is much harder for anyone around her to predict or control. Because once he understands Rachel was exposed to something this serious, his concern may no longer be limited to what Sophia did in the moment. He may start thinking about the emotional damage left behind, what Rachel saw, what Rachel believed, and what this entire situation may do to her sense of safety and trust. So this reveal does not just deepen Sophia's story. It widens the fallout and raises the emotional stakes for everyone around her. Stephanie's storyline may bring a quieter kind of intensity this week, but that may be exactly what makes it so powerful. Her decision to confront Owen in the interrogation room does not feel like a routine dramatic beat. It feels deeply personal. This is not just about getting answers from a dangerous man or hearing him explain himself one last time. It feels more like Stephanie reaching the point where she can no longer move forward without facing the source of the trauma directly. In that sense, this confrontation may be less about revenge and more about taking back control of a situation that once left her emotionally powerless. When Stephanie closes the blinds, the scene instantly feels more intimate and more intense. It creates the sense that she is shutting out the outside world so there can be no distance, no avoidance, and no easy escape from what needs to be faced. That small action gives the moment weight. It makes this feel less like an interrogation and more like a final emotional reckoning between a woman trying to heal and the man whose obsession helped create that pain. She brings authority, structure, and a layer of protection into a scene that could otherwise feel dangerously unpredictable. Her presence reminds us that Owen is no longer in command of the situation. But even with that protection in place, the emotional risk may still be high. Characters driven by obsession rarely surrender power gracefully, and that means this confrontation could still turn volatile in unexpected ways. So while Stephanie may walk into that room hoping for closure, the real tension may come from whether closure is even possible in a situation like this. Then we have the storyline that may overshadow everything else. EJ revealing the result of his experiment and bringing Theo face to face with Lexi in the Demera tunnels. This is the kind of moment that Days clearly wants viewers to stop and talk about. Theo approaching that bed and asking, "Mom?" instantly gives the scene emotional force. It is shocking, heartbreaking, and surreal at the same time. Because this is not framed like a normal reunion built on joy and certainty. It is framed like a miracle that may also be a nightmare. On one level, it taps directly into grief and longing. Theo sees the impossible in front of him, and the sheer emotional weight of that image may be enough to overwhelm him before he can even begin to ask the right questions. It is not just shocking because Lexi is there. It is shocking because of everything her presence represents: loss, hope, memory, and the terrifying possibility that EJ has interfered with forces no one should be trying to control. That gives the scene a layered tension that goes beyond surprise. Viewers are not just meant to wonder what Theo feels. They are meant to wonder what this costs, what is real, and whether this miracle is as promising as it first appears. Theo's reaction may carry all of that at once. Hope, confusion, disbelief, gratitude, fear, all of it may hit him in the same moment. And that emotional conflict is what makes this storyline so compelling. Because even if part of him wants to believe completely, another part may already sense that nothing involving EJ is ever that simple. Not simply whether Lexi will wake up, but what EJ had to do to bring Theo to this moment in the first place. Because when EJ positions himself as the man who can defeat limits, rewrite outcomes, and produce the impossible, the danger is never just in the result. The danger is in the mindset behind it. EJ does not merely want to help. He wants to prove he can succeed where everyone else failed. And that is where compassion can start blending with ego in very dangerous ways. If EJ truly believes he has created something miraculous, then he may also believe he can manage whatever consequences come with it. But Salem has a long history of proving that people who try to control the uncontrollable almost always unleash something they cannot contain. So even if EJ offers Theo explanations, the deeper tension may come from whether those explanations actually make this situation safer, or only make it sound safer. Because the real power of this storyline lies in uncertainty. Is this a miracle born from science? Is it a desperate illusion wrapped in hope? Or is it the first stage of a disaster that has not shown its full face yet? That question may be far more important than whether Lexi opens her eyes. Because what looks like hope in the tunnels may actually be the beginning of something much darker. When you step back and look at the full week of March 30th through April 3rd, one theme seems to connect everything: control. Philip thinks he can turn scandal into strategy. Kate and Xander may think they can manipulate the board without getting burned. Sophia may think she can come back and keep influencing people through fear and deception. Stephanie may think one final confrontation will help her finally take her power back. And EJ may think he can control the impossible itself. But in Salem, control rarely lasts. That is why this week feels so strong. The secrets are getting riskier. The lies are getting heavier. The fallout is becoming more personal. And the closer these characters get to the truth, the more unstable everything may become. Because once the cracks start showing, Salem never stays quiet for long.